6 minutes starts now.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. His Mexican vacation is over. A Texas teenager has skipped out on probation and an infamous deadly drunk driving case has been located. Fox's Eben Brown has more live.
And Dave, all this time, Ethan Couch of Texas had been traveling in or around Mexico. He's the Texas teen whose lawyers claimed his affluent parents spoiled him rotten and that he wasn't responsible for 4 deaths related to him crashing a car while drunk. Tarrant County, Texas Sheriff D. Anderson.
I said then 2 years ago, we're not through with Ethan Couch. He is not the kind of person who rehabilitates, who learns his lesson.
Now, the teen's lawyers called the boy's lifestyle a disease, using the term affluenza. He had been on probation for the killing, and the search for him began when he failed to show for a visit with his supervising officer, Dave.
Evan, Jason Van Dyke returns to court today. There's a white Chicago cop charged in the much-protested shooting death of a black teenager. He's expected to enter a plea in murder charges. In Cleveland, there have been protests and anger over a grand jury not indicting 2 police officers in Tamir Rice's death. The 12-year-old was shot brandishing a pellet gun that looked real at a park.
It's been incredibly devastating. And Samaria Rice wept a great deal.
That's the attorney for Rice's mother. The 2 officers could still face internal police discipline. More than 1,100 flights are canceled or delayed today nationwide. Not as bad as yesterday when some airports were packed with frustrated, stuck passengers in stormy weather like here in Texas.
I know where to go now, so maybe we sleep here.
Flood warnings persist across the South and Midwest. Flooding in Missouri left 10 dead, 5 others killed in Oklahoma, Georgia, and Arkansas. Donald Trump rips a paper. Campaigning in New Hampshire.
You have a very dishonest newspaper up here. It's also a failing newspaper. It's going down to tubers.
And that was last night, hours after the Manchester Union leader ran a front-page editorial calling Trump a crude, blowhard bully who has no business running for president. Trump calls the publisher a low-life loser and a lapdog for rival Republican Chris Christie, who the paper has endorsed. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. See website for details.
Need some extra cash today? Do you have bad credit or maxed out credit cards? If so, turn your radio up. 67cash.com is one of the nation's largest personal loan networks with over 50 different lenders. Now you can get a personal loan for up to $5,000 with no traditional credit check, discreetly from your computer or smartphone, and with no paperwork to send in. That's right, no paperwork whatsoever. Your cash will hit your bank account as soon as tomorrow, and with millions of dollars to lend, our lenders will not perform a traditional credit check. Visit 67cash.com and you can have up to $5,000 in no time. Just have a checking account and a regular source of income, and you can get the loan you need now, regardless of your credit. Go to 67cash.com from your smartphone or computer to get the cash you need. Visit 67cash.com. Type www.67cash.com directly into the address bar. That's 67cash.com. 67cash.com.
A new high-potency type of pot called shatter has arrived in the Garden State. Angelo Valente with a Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey says because highly flammable butane gas is used to make this substance,
there has been a rise in home explosions from individuals that were utilizing shatter.
Shatter is 5 times more potent than regular pot, raising concerns about how it may affect the brain development of teenagers. The state education commissioner has rejected sweeping changes we told you about in high school football and wrestling. The biggest change was to break football conferences into public and private school divisions. Education Commissioner Hespy vetoed the changes. The current structure remains in place for next year. The fight is on over how to bring casino gambling to North Jersey. Democrats in the legislature are squabbling over proposals that would grant 2 casino licenses. One version requires both new casinos to be owned by an existing Atlantic City operator. The other would let one outsider into the mix. A public hearing will be held in January. I'm Eric Scott. This is the Town Square News Network.
It's been a wet morning so far for New Jersey, and the rain and gusty winds will continue through about the early afternoon hours today. Then we'll see mostly cloudy skies. High temperatures very much on the mild side in the mid-50s to lower 60s today. Partly cloudy and cool tonight, lows mostly around 40, and more clouds than sun for tomorrow with highs again mid-50s or so. Some evening rain showers possible tomorrow through the early morning hours of Thursday. That's New Year's Eve. Looking mostly to partly cloudy to close out the year with highs around 50. I'm meteorologist Dan Zarrow.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Chuck Malamut presents what you are about to hear. Chuck has been with us for the past 25 years. He leads the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office. The following program is presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of today's broadcast. They're subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck, did you and the family have a Merry Christmas?
We did, Harry.
Good.
And your family?
Excellent.
Great.
Very, very good.
Ready for the new year, right?
I was just talking to the president about that. Yes, we are ready for the new year. Do you want more volume or less volume?
A little bit less.
A little bit less. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you
Good.
very much. Yeah, so Harry, I heard you and Kirk on the way in, and we're going to chat a little bit about what we've accomplished in 2015, which was not a lot, and where we go in 2016. But first and foremost, congratulations. You and Kirk have both acquired a new nickname.
A new working title?
Yes, so...
But the book is still in progress. It's just the working title, Chuck.
So fortunately, I was not here to witness that, but I did hear it all over the airwaves.
So you weren't listening to NPR then?
No,
good.
I was listening.
Good to hear.
Obviously listening to you and Kirk.
Yeah, good. So. See how it is, though, kids? All the great stuff of that hour, and the only thing that Chuck is doing is making fun. This is the cross that I bear.
No, Harry, that's not necessarily true.
But that was brilliant hour of radio.
It was, and I just happened to catch a couple of one-liners, and they'll sort of memorialize that. And
so that was the most meaningful thing, is what you're saying, is that the one outlier was the lead. Don't bury the lead. Chuck, I made a pronouncement about 2 hours and 3 minutes ago that some of the prep that I did for your show today, some of the analysts, and it was 10 different analysts that combined their own sort of review of the year, one of them from Morgan Stanley, by the way, and they called it the year nothing worked. Stocks, bonds, cash go nowhere. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Harry, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the markets, other than the Nikkei, Shanghai, and the NASDAQ, virtually everything was either flat, slightly higher, slightly lower. And, and
the NASDAQ is up about 2%?
It's up actually higher than that, Harry, but NASDAQ is up actually almost 8% year to date. But I think if you take a look at the NASDAQ 100, that composite, and again, it's a market-weighted index, much like all the other indices, and you carve out 4 stocks, and it's referred to as the FANG stocks: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, which is now Alphabet. That's where most of the returns came from. And your traditional bricks and mortar type companies, as they're referred to, had a very, very difficult year. And your multinationals, because of the rising dollar, also had a tough time faring well.
The S&P 500 is up 2.2%, correct? Is that the one?
The S&P going into yesterday was up 2.2. Yesterday we had a down day. I'm saying about 1.7, 1.8. Right now, the futures are indicated higher. Again, remembering this week is a very, very tough week because there's not a lot of liquidity in the markets. Yesterday, actually, New York Stock Exchange on the floor only traded 600 million shares, which is a very, very light day.
So it's going to be a very light last few days.
I mean, it should be, barring any major catastrophic events, that geopolitical type events that happen. I would think that we're just going to kind of tread water here a little bit. You might see a little bit of push at the end. You've had a fair amount of tax loss selling, as we chatted about for many, many weeks. That's coming to a close as well. So I think all of us, investors, listeners, advisors are going to be very, very happy to kind of turn the page at the end of 2015, because the majority, the consensus recommendations were that equities would be up anywhere from 8 to 12%. So that obviously did not happen last year.
One of the things I also mentioned in my opening monologue, and I said I would broach it with you, was that this was the worst for asset allocating bulls in almost 80 years. Is there any explaining it, or just it is what it is?
You know, Harry, if you take a look at the first 6 months of the year, you know, we started strong, relatively speaking, across the board. We did not have a lot of volatility. The second half of the year brought a lot of challenges to the marketplace, and not just here within the U.S., but internationally as well. The IPO market, the M&A's activity that we oftentimes refer to, was initially very, very strong, and then kind of tailed off at the end of the year. So, other than technology and the FANG stocks that we chatted about, I mean, if you had the traditional old economy type securities, and if you look, you're going to find out that if you haven't paid any attention, hopefully you have, that all the old economy type securities underperformed for the year. The biggest challenge that we have been faced with in the last month is explaining to our clients, and hopefully your listeners paid attention to what we had to say and talked to their advisors, or their advisors called them, is the fact that a lot of the large cap, big name mutual funds paid out fairly significant capital gains and went absolutely nowhere. At the end of the day, you had no return. So that creates what is referred to as phantom income, which ultimately goes onto your tax return next year, or for the year end 2015. So come filing time in April 16, if you didn't do the necessary tax harvesting, if you could, then chances are you're going to be writing a check to the government, and you might have been able to avoid it. Now, you still have a couple days left, Harry. It's not when you do selling per se at the end of the year. It is not based on settlement date, which is usually trade date plus 3, is based on trade date. So if you ended up today going in and reallocating or rebalancing or doing your tax harvesting, it's based on today's date.
So you have until Thursday.
You have until the close of business Thursday to get this accomplished. Yes, absolutely. So,
and I know you've been very, very good on your show to do this, Chuck, because it's a sad occasion where someone, either because they didn't know or for some reason that really you shouldn't let be the case, if you don't do certain things that you're permitted to do, you could wind up taking a big loss that you don't have to take.
Yeah, I mean, you're just basically writing a check that you might not have to necessarily write. And it's been a tough enough year already. And the last thing that we want to hear from our clients is that, well, you didn't tell us. We could have. How come you didn't make the plans to get this accomplished? So, we basically stepped up very, very early, right around Thanksgiving, and started the process. The problem is it's ever changing, because you have a best guesstimate from the mutual fund companies of what they think they're going to pay out, and you don't necessarily know it until the pay date. And some of them actually only paid as of right before Christmas. So it's a process that hopefully, like I said before, your listeners, the advisors to the listeners are paid attention, and weren't lazy.
And you starting early is a positive no matter what, because even if circumstances do change, you've been on top of it. And it's something that you don't let that date come and go without taking action, because you could look at, once it's January 4th next Monday, and you look at something, it's in the rearview mirror now. You could say, wow, you could have done this, but now it's too late.
Yeah, it would absolutely be too late, and then you'll be writing potentially a check, come April 15th, that in all likelihood, might not have to written. So
is this year? I mean, I remember what we said at the beginning of the year. This year has ended very differently than we thought it was going to.
You know, Harry, if you went away, and we talk about this oftentimes, and you know, went on vacation and you came back and you looked at the markets and you would say, "Oh, geez, it was a yawner."
Yeah.
But
yet it was a roller coaster ride.
Look, the year is one, and we've had I can't remember the last year where we had actually flat returns. It was several years ago, and needless to say, it certainly was not boring. I mean, there were moments during the year of fear, doubt, volatility, and I think what I'm most impressed about the markets is the fact that with a lot of these geopolitical events happening, particularly terrorism, the marketplaces, for the most part, were very, very resilient. I mean, I remember that Friday night in Paris, and the markets had an opportunity, you know, to sort of take a deep breath and regroup over the weekend. And we walked in on the following Monday, and the markets handled it very, very well. California, same situation. So, you know, obviously very tragic events.
That we're just here, and really the world, we're just getting used to this, and so it won't have the effect that it used to have when it was more sporadic?
I don't want to say getting used to it. I think that we are the markets have built sort of a wall around those type of events, because we always, you know, look, unfortunately, you know, in today's society, even if you're walking down the street at times, you oftentimes feel worried about, you know, am I okay with my safety? Am I in a good space? And
actually, a caller called up and was talking about it.
And you know, it kind of reminded me as you and Kirk and Seriously Speaking chatted about the last hour, and I'm not going to get into politics. I think a lot of us feel are more fearful of where we are in our surroundings than we were, say, a decade ago.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Brief time out. We're going to come right back. Chuck Malamut is here, the official financial advisor to the Hurley in the Morning program. This is our year-end program. Chuck, of course, will be back on Tuesday, January 5th of the new year. So he opened with his market update. We're going to talk about the Fed. We're going to talk about anything else Chuck wants to relative to 2015, what's happened, and 2016, where do we go from here? Back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. For more than 20 years, the D'Amato Law Firm has served as the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program. Led by certified civil trial attorney Paul D'Amato, the D'Amato Law Firm focuses their practice in representing those who have been seriously injured in construction, products liability, and motor vehicle collisions. The D'Amato Law Firm expertly handles cases throughout the country, but their primary focus is on representing victims injured right here at home in southern New Jersey. They've earned a reputation for excellence. From direct personal experience, I can readily confirm that the D'Amato Law Firm's overall competence, attention to detail, follow-up systems are outstanding, and they truly shine during your moment of truth before judge and jury. The D'Amato Law Firm is centrally located in Atlantic County at 2900 Fire Road, Suite 200. That's the second floor in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. That's the corner of Fire Road and the Black Horse Pike. For all of your personal injury legal needs, turn with confidence to the region's leader in the field of personal injury. They're the D'Amato Law Firm. Call 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. And please tell the D'Amato Law Firm that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
Hi, this is Paulie from the Palm Restaurant in Atlantic City, New Jersey, wishing everybody a happy and a healthy holiday season. If you're going to parties this holiday season and you find yourself drinking, please do yourself, your family, and maybe your next door neighbor a favor. Don't drink and drive. Call a cab, call somebody, call a family member, call anybody that could take you home. Most importantly, don't reach for your keys, reach for the phone. Happy holidays from the Palm Restaurant in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Listen to WPG Talk Radio 1450 with Radio Pup, our free app that puts all your favorite talk shows right at your fingertips. Powered by Autolenders.com. Stay connected with the latest South Jersey news and weather information right from your iPhone or Droid. Radio Pup, powered by Autolenders.com. There's never been a better time to check out all of the low-mileage, one-owner certified cars at Autolenders. See their full selection at Autolenders.com or any of their 6 New Jersey locations.
Hi, this is Glenn B. Rydell for Shore Toyota. The B stands for I'll be at any deal. Toyotathon is on. Saving the biggest and best sale for last makes the holidays the best time of year to buy a car. Toyotathon is on. It's a used car holiday extravaganza.
I'm Frank Catchman. It only comes once a year. It's 0%. Yes, 0% on certified pre-owned cars.
With Camrys, Corollas, and RAVs.
And Siennas, Tacomas, Tundras, and we're ready.
All our certified pre-owned cars come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile factory warranty with roadside assistance and bumper-to-bumper.
Plus, right now only during Toyotathon, mention this ad and get a free 100,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty on all certified used cars.
Toyotathon is on. Saving the biggest and best sale for last makes the holidays the best time of year to buy a car. Toyotathon is on. It's a used car holiday extravaganza. Only at Shore Toyota Scion, Black Horse Pike, Mays Landing. Phone 1-888-YES-TOYOTA or shop 24/7 at shoretoyota.com.
We treat people well. Shore Physicians Group. Shore Physicians Group is proud to include rheumatology among its medical specialties, allowing you to seek diagnosis and treatment for arthritis and other disease that can affect your joints, muscles, and bones. Shore Physicians Group rheumatologists Dr. Linda Brecker and Anna Serlusu are board certified in internal medicine and rheumatology. Together, these expert practitioners bring fellowship training and a highly personalized approach to the people they care for. Shore Physicians Group is accepting new patients at its Summers Point and Marmore offices. Most insurance plans are accepted. For a rheumatology appointment, call 609-365-6200 or visit shorephysiciansgroup.com. That's 609-365-6200 or shorephysiciansgroup.com. Shore Physicians Group, treating people well.
Thanks very much. We're back with Chuck Malamut, our official financial advisor, to the Early in the Morning program. You can proclaim the same. Simply call 609-383-2010. And Chuck will teach you his concept and work with you very closely about total asset management with the all-important asset allocation. And we do have a 2016 question that I will hold until you tell me, Chuck, that we're going to 2016. Are you still in 2015?
Well, Harry, I think we take a step back. Every year, we come. There's a number of predictions that are made with respect to where the market's going to go and where the economy is going to grow. So let me kind of get through what we thought was going to happen and what ultimately did happen.
There you go.
So one of your favorite topics, GDP.
Yeah.
The prediction was that we were going to grow by about 3% for the first time since 2005. So that was unfortunately incorrect. Growth averaged about 2.2% over the first 3 quarters, a little bit less than was expected. It could accelerate as we get into next year. Second point, core inflation remains contained. Wage growth begins to increase. So that was a good prediction. That did in fact happen on both sides. Third one, Federal Reserve begins to raise rates, and it comes as no surprise as short-term rates rise more than long-term rates, and that did in fact happen. And Kirk and you and I kind of chatted about that, right before we came on air. So they finally came in December with the first 25 basis point increase, and now there's all kinds of discussion as we get into 16. Where are we going to go? Are we going to have multiple rate increases? Can the economy in fact stand it? Are we, on the brinks of a recession? I mean, there's all kinds of different camps out there making statements with respect to interest rates.
I studied 10 people in preparation for your program today, Chuck, that made their 2016 forecasts and also showed their 2015 target. And one of them you've heard of, Adam Parker, Morgan Stanley, is one of them. He says 2016 will end at 2175. 2015 target $22.75. So a lot of them have it even. Some have it slightly down. But a lot of prediction that 2016 could either be worse than 2015 or no better than 2015.
Yeah, look, we're faced with I'll get into that in a second, but we're faced with a couple things. One, obviously an election year.
Yes.
Two, an economy that...
Usually that's good, though.
But I think this year might be a little bit different.
Yeah, I think it is.
The economy is I don't want to say on the brinks of a recession, but certainly not firing on all cylinders. So 16, I think we're still going to be faced with a fair amount of volatility, but at the same time, I think there's going to be opportunities out there. If you take a look, for instance, Harry, at some of the securities that were beaten up the most. If you take a look, for instance, at the old type economy type stocks, chances are that they're in line to have somewhat of a rebound as we get into 2016. I would be a little careful with the stocks that we kind of chatted about in the very beginning of our discussion, only because they made very, very big moves, and we've seen that before, where today's winners oftentimes turn into tomorrow's losers. I'm not saying, as you know, I will never ever make a recommendation on any particular industry or stock. Or stocks within a particular industry, but merely citing, what we've seen happen in the past. So,
I saw a big splash report on one particular company that I have featured on this program, and I've bought their products, as you know, for a lot of years. Frankly, you have too. Where they say they may be out of ideas. I thought that was just a blew my mind type of coverage. They're not out of ideas, but that's poison speak. Chuck, before we get to the bottom of the hour break, one of your biggest fans wrote in, Chuck, what is the proper asset allocation for 2016?
Harry, that's a tough question because, you ask a question, I'm going to ask a couple other questions. One, what is the time horizon of the particular investor? Is it relatively short term or long term? What is the age of the person asking the question? What is the risk tolerance of that particular person? Are they very, very fearful of the market, or are they okay with spikes in volatility? But Harry, I think if I kind of threw it out there without having a lot of information, probably be overweight slightly in equities, maybe 60%. Maybe upwards of 65%, because you got to think about it. The last 2 years, bonds outperformed equities, and it's the old expression, reversion to the mean. So there might be an opportunity here. Whereas we get into 16, think about it, when everyone says something, what do? What should you do?
You're talking contrarian again?
You should oftentimes step in as the contrarian and say, okay, if everybody's going to the left side of the boat, I'm going to try to go to the right side of the boat, and oftentimes that works.
We're going to come right back. One more power segment. Our last visit in 2015 with the official financial advisor to the Hurley in the Morning program. In just a few days, we will begin our 26th year together. Chuck Malamut leads his group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office, the Malamut team. 609-383-2010 to reach Chuck and the Malamut group, 609-383-2010. Here is a deal that has a shelf life of December 31st at 11:59.59, and it goes as follows. And the deal that I will tell you about on Monday, January 4th, going forward, it's a great deal, but it's only half as good as this deal.
Hey, it's Harry Hurley. The sales guys just gave me this copy for MyPillow, but I don't need it. MyPillow has changed my life, and it will change yours. For years, I couldn't get restorative sleep, tossing and turning, trying to get in just the right position, stacking 2 and 3 pillows, throwing them off one at a time. Then I found MyPillow, and my sleep trouble went away. No more tossing and turning, no more neck pain. It's not a joke. It's not a sales gimmick. MyPillow works. And if you care about getting a good night's sleep, you'll need to buy one now. They're so sure you'll be satisfied. They're offering you a 10-year warranty, and from now until the end of the year, a 4-month money-back guarantee. MyPillow is offering our listeners an amazing holiday deal. Buy one MyPillow and get 4. That's right. For the price of one MyPillow, you'll get 4. Go to MyPillow.com. Scroll down to the radio listener special or call 800-951-8148. Use the promo code Hurley. That's right, 800-951-8148. Use the promo code Hurley. Don't lose another night of good sleep.
Rents are already very high in New Jersey, but they're expected to go up again 3 to 5% next year. Sharon Clark with the Central Jersey Housing Resource Center says many residents would like to buy their own home, but they can't get a mortgage.
A lot of people have had changes in their jobs, and you kind of need stability for a year or two.
A lot of Jersey families forcing to live with friends and relatives because they can't afford to rent an apartment on their own. Officials in Cleveland urging calm, bracing for protest after a grand jury voted not to indict a white police officer for fatally shooting a 12-year-old black boy. It turned out Tamir Rice was playing with a pellet gun. President Obama has signed a ban on plastic microbeads in face wash, toothpaste, and other personal care products. The beads pass through water treatment systems and end up in our waterways, harming marine life. Donald Trump is apparently taking notice of Chris Christie's surge in New Hampshire. He's now polling at over 11% and has doubled support since last month. Trump attacking Christie, saying he was ruining New Jersey and has no chance to win. I'm Eric Scott. This is the Town Square News Network.
Hi, this is Paulie from the Palm Restaurant in Atlantic City, New Jersey, wishing everybody a happy and a healthy holiday season. If you're going to parties this holiday season and you find yourself drinking, please do yourself, your family, and maybe your next-door neighbor a favor. Don't drink and drive. Call a cab. Call somebody, call a family member, call anybody that could take you home. Most importantly, don't reach for your keys. Reach for the phone. Happy holidays from the Palm Restaurant in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
We're back. Yours truly, Hurley in the Morning, with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor to the Hurley in the Morning program. To reach Chuck and his group, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office, 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010. Chuck, let me give you a specific example with no names mentioned. This would be someone 60 years old. So to answer the question, it was 10 years. That was the first number that you were talking about before when you didn't know what type of time frame of investing the person was talking about. Age would be 60, and they're not risk averse.
All right, so I'm going to change the asset allocation just a little bit, Harry. Not risk adverse means you have a tendency to equities. However, within the equity space, I would be more inclined to buy more of your U.S. large cap growth and value type securities, only because they have a tendency to be a little more resilient in fairly tough times. And I probably would take the asset allocation and scale it back to maybe, say, 55% equities. I'd be obviously conscious of how much emerging markets and international are owned within the portfolio. I mean, our strategists are saying to overweight international, particularly Europe and Japan, as we get into 2016. So that's something else that, the investors need to be conscious of.
So to this young 60-year-old that wrote into the program, I would say give Chuck a call, 609-383-2010, so that he can sit down with you specifically to address the issues that you've raised. Chuck, time is yours.
So Harry, we got through 3 of the 10 predictions in 15. So let me kind of roll through the rest. European Central Bank begins a large-scale quantitative easing program. That obviously happened. They're somewhat, behind the U.S. and their timing. They started in January, expanded their bond purchases throughout the year, and they're continuing to look for ways to promote growth in Europe. And I think that's one of the reasons that our strategists happen to like Europe. I think you're going to like this one. The U.S. Contributes more to global growth than China for the first time since 2006. That obviously did happen. And if you take a look as to what happened during the summer of 2015, it was very, very obvious that China kind of fell off the map, so to speak. Next point, U.S. equities enjoy another good yet volatile year. as corporate earnings in the U.S. dollar rise. Well, that's partly correct. We know the dollar increased. Corporate earnings, for the most part, were relatively the same. We had that same strategy, Harry, is having problems with the top line, getting oftentimes to the bottom line. The Fed stopping, the buybacks, the Fed stopping with the easing, the Fed increasing interest rates. I'm going to be very, very curious as we get into 2016. Can companies continue to make earnings and buy back their securities? I think that's going to be very, very instrumental in trying to understand, does the market have some legs, so to speak, as we get into the year?
Listener wrote us back, very educational, well done, Chuck. Many listeners do not fully understand the thinking behind the concept, so I think that was very illustrative and very well delivered. Billy Malamut, the official mortgage specialist, the exclusive mortgage specialist here on the Hurley in the Morning program, wrote in, and I'm going to add a point of value to this. He wrote in that take the Giants if you're not risk averse. But I wrote back something serious to that. I put good one, Billy, but keep in mind, everybody, a lot of people don't know this yet. Chuck is worldly and is just smart as you are. I don't know if you know this yet. Do you realize that next week's game, Eagles and the Giants, there is something significant at stake? Did you know that?
No, I did not, Harry.
You're going to learn it right now. And I didn't get a chance in the first 2.5 hours of the program to even squeeze this in. It is a very big deal. If you chart the teams that have had to fly to England, you know how the NFL, they're trying, maybe there'll be a team from the United Kingdom someday in the league, so they're really trying to bring the NFL to the United Kingdom. So 2 teams have to go there every year. The loser, this is terrible, the loser of this upcoming Sunday's game between the Eagles and the Giants at New York Giants Stadium has to go to London next year and play. If the Eagles win, they don't have to go. The way they worked it, the league said that the third place team from the NFC East has to go to London. The Cowboys have already clinched 4th, so they don't have to go. Washington Redskins won the division. They don't have to go. So if the Eagles win, they're going to get 2nd in the division. If the Eagles lose, they're going to get 3rd in the division. They'll have to go.
Well, they have multiple games, though. I mean, if I remember correctly, Harry, they played 3 or 4.
Was there that many? I thought there was just 2.
No, there were several games.
Well, let's put it this way. That's good to know, but what I said still stands. The Eagles will not have to go. I think it wrecks your season when you have to do that flight and then you come back on a short week. I think it stinks. I think it's bad. And I wish they weren't doing it. I don't see the need. I know they're trying to stretch the brand, expand the brand, but this game is very meaningful. I am hoping that the Eagles win that game so that they do not have the disruption of that next year. You're laughing, but I'm telling you, it's not a small item.
I'm certainly not going to be glued to my television set or my cell phone or any sort of technology to watch that event on Sunday.
I'm watching it. I love my team.
Well,
you're proving you're a fair weather fan.
No, Harry, I won't get into
that.
If
they were still in the playoffs, you'd be watching.
No, you know my opinion of that team, and I'm going to hold you harmless because it's been many years since I got off that bandwagon. So,
I know.
And I feel pretty good about that. So let me finish with the with the recap.
Thank you, Billy.
So technology.
Chuck's not playing nice, but thank you, Billy.
Technology, healthcare, telecom sectors outperform utilities, energy, and materials. So that was absolutely correct. Those sectors outperformed. That being tech, healthcare, and telecom. We obviously know what happened to energy and materials. Utilities were sort of a push. Oil prices, the next one, oil prices fall further before ending the year higher where they began. Well, that obviously was not correct. Oil prices, we know, Harry, were very, very volatile during the year. They were higher than their starting point at $53 several times during the year 2015. But as we know, as we got into the fourth quarter, we went through this sharp downturn, and now sitting at around, call it 35.
Yeah. in the 170 range for a gallon of gas.
Yeah, so U.S. equity mutual funds, the next thing we chat about, U.S. equity mutual funds show their first significant inflow since 2004. That was not correct. As I mentioned to you before, bonds outperformed equities in 2015, so that was obviously wrong. If we look through November, equity funds have had a negative outflow, or negative flow, we'll call it. And the last point that you'll like, and I know you can probably jump all over this, Republican and Democratic presidential nominations remain wide open. So we know that the lady that you guys chatted about earlier this morning,
which we didn't, but somebody said we did,
is the front runner for the Democrats.
Yep.
And but she really has to solidify, moving forward. And the GOP race remains, pretty much up in the air, kind of hard to predict, where we go.
When we came back January, early in the new year of 2015, was this a year that was forecasted to be high single-digit to low double-digit?
Yeah, it was.
That just was my memory.
The majority. We
came
with, and our thoughts were anywhere from 8 to 12. Obviously, we fell, short in 2015. I think, along with a lot of other analysts. Most analysts were calling for those numbers. From what I'm seeing, again, you have...
So basically one indice sort of hit that, the one that was at 8 point whatever percent.
Yeah, the NASDAQ. Yeah. But the NASDAQ is, again, NASDAQ 100. It's, if you look at your S&P 500, which is really what everybody measures against, up, we'll call it less than 3 right now because you still have a couple days left. Futures today look pretty positive, up almost over 100 points as we get in, but to the trading session. But again, remember, there's not a lot of volume, so that number can go quickly either way.
So in our 3 to 4 minutes that we have left in your program for 2015, 2016, where do we go from here?
Well, Harry, I think if you take a look, again, as I mentioned to you before, it's sort of, the old expression, reversion to the mean. You go, maybe you take a look at the laggards, materials, energy, industrials. They had a pretty good week last week, and they could be, in fact, setting themselves up for, as we get into 2016. If we have a weaker U.S. dollar, and there's a number of analysts that are projecting that, that could stimulate international U.S. multinational companies as well. I think one of the big surprises we get into 2016 is where we go with GDP. Nominal GDP growth, if inflation comes back in the developed world, could be a surprise to the upside, at least as we get into the early part of the year. I think, and I hate to say it, but I think one of the things that the market's going to spend a lot of time thinking about is where we go in November.
Oh, I totally agree.
And the Fed,
which I love to think about.
Yeah, it makes your show. Yeah. The Fed, has chatted about the last meeting they had when they went that 25 basis point move, which everybody expected to have happened. Increases anywhere from 2 to 4 during the year. So, we're thinking 2 to 3 hikes will probably impact the short end of the curve. The 10-year, as we know it, we're thinking maybe a 250, 260. It's like 220 plus right now. But
Chuck, I remember 1992, George H.W. Bush was having a real tough way to go because even though we were growing at 4.6 to 4.7% GDP. It was called the worst economy in 50 years, which was just completely a lie, but they went with it, and they went with it hard. Then I think Greenspan may have still been the Fed chair then. He decides just crazily, he raised interest rates like right before the election, so the sitting incumbent takes that in the neck. But this is an open seat. It's a little different, but I think Hillary, though, sort of, if anything goofy is going on with Fed increases or anything like that, Hillary almost, in my estimation, takes some of the weight of that because she was part of the administration. It's not fair. And I would be honest here and be an honest broker on this program that shouldn't be that way. But I think she would take a negative hit because she was part of the administration, almost like a pseudo-incumbent.
Well, Harry, all eyes on the Fed this year. There's no doubt about it. One, as I mentioned a few moments ago, there's going, in all likelihood, unless the numbers come and they're not what everyone thinks they're going to be, several increases. But as if the numbers don't
change, Chuck, there's not going to be additional increases.
But we're going to see if what the Fed is all made up of as you get closer to November. Are they going to stand aside and are they going to support one side or the other, so to speak?
Well, I think they will support one side or the other is my gut. But if things do not turn around, do you think they'll get off of this rate increase mode as quick as they started it?
I think it'll certainly be very, very slow in coming with additional increases. I mean, I think the next one, Harry, sort of already baked in, so to speak, to the numbers. But
so another 25 basis points.
Yeah,
coming?
But going beyond that, it's anybody's guess. Because the one thing that we didn't talk about today is, what is the likelihood of a recession as we get into 2016? Our predictions are it's not going to happen. However, it could be on the horizon as we get into 2017. I think that can certainly be discussed and revisited as we get into the latter part of 16. So,
any recession that is anytime soon would be cruel and unusual because this has been the worst recovery from a recession, and this was a great recession in the history of the Republic. I think the American people are going to take the next recession really hard, Chuck, because this has not been a normal, robust growth. You could sort of look, if you had a great recession coming, 2008, and we actually came out of it in 2009, although not many people speak to that often. Kirk Conover does, I do, you do, but it would be terrible to go into another recession in either 2016, which I'm agreeing with you. I don't think it's going to happen, especially because it is a presidential election year, and amazing things happen to prevent that kind of thing. And I think it will take place if it's needed. It will be extraordinary, and measures will be taken. But if it happened in 2017, when it's all safe for another 4 years in terms of national election, of course 2 years for the House seats and for 1/3 of the Senate. But the next recession, I think the American people will just be flipping out.
Well, Harry, I think what happens is the fact that when we came out of the last recession, it was rather shallow.
Yeah.
With
worst ever,
with not a lot of growth, and as a result of that, U.S. households did not have an opportunity to sort of replenish the well and get their balance sheet back in order. So
you know what it would actually be, Chuck? See if you agree with this. I don't know if you will or you won't, but I think it's a reasonable statement. If we were to have a recession in a year or so from now, people would actually, if they were polled, would say, I don't feel like we ever left the other one. This is another one. I don't think people would tell the difference.
Well, I think it depends, Harry, if you had that poll in what parts of the country. For instance, Florida, California, Nevada. I think they would answer it different. And say yes, okay, we came out, we're
because
good.
Because they experienced some robust
New Jersey, particularly, or the Mid-Atlantic states, South Jersey in particular. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
They would say we never left the last one.
Exactly.
So this is the same one.
But I think we are certainly – the good news is we are not forecasting that in the upcoming future, but it's something that we have to be very, very conscious of.
If you're not forecasting that, are you forecasting that 2016 will be worse than 2015? Or you're not going?
No, I'm not going to go there, Harry. What I'm going to say is that 16 I think we're going to have a fair amount of volatility as we experienced in the second half of this year. I guess, being obviously from the camp of the glass half full, not half empty, I think equity investors are going to hopefully be pleased with the results of 16 versus where we were in 15. But again, it's a situation where, investors need to be patient. And certainly, not just look at the headlines, because as you had mentioned before, I don't want to say it's rigged, but you got to be very, very careful of what the media spews out to the average American citizen.
Out of 10 people that are forecasting 2016 S&P 500, 1 has end of 2016 target better than end of 2015 target. And we're saying target even for 2015 because there's a couple days left of trading. One person has 2150 versus 2100. Even your colleague, Adam Parker, has it 100 points less. So they're all basically keeping it 2100, or close to that. But only one has actually an improvement, and it's barely by 50 points. Chuck, awesome. Anything you want to say in closing?
Harry, to your listeners, a healthy, happy, prosperous new year. Obviously to you and your family. We're looking forward to a bright start in 2016, and I'm hopefully that information that you hopefully threw that in the trash can.
I threw it in the trash can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully the contrarian lives for another day and they're all wrong again.
That's what
you
I
never
want.
know.
That's what I want, Chuck. Chuck, thank you for a great 2015. Appreciate you and your partnership so much, and looking forward also to a great 2016.
Harry, thanks. We'll see you soon.
Yep, you've helped a lot of people. Chuck Malamut, for all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck, 609-383-2010. The program you just listened to was presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed are those of Chuck, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of this date and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. We'll be back in 90 seconds. Don't go away.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff is brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update. If one of your resolutions is to get more organized for the new year, a good place to start is your daily to-do list. It can be your best friend when it comes to being efficient and getting things done. But if you see a lot of unfinished tasks left on your to-do list, try to figure out why. Did you try to get everything done at one time? Did you list big tasks that could have been broken down into smaller ones? Or did distractions keep you from completing your tasks? Use this information to help arrange future to-do lists or to find ways to work more efficiently. Another good idea for your to-do list? After you write down your tasks, be sure to label them A, B, and C, or 1, 2, 3, whatever your system is, so you can handle top priorities first. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update. Happy New Year.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff is brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
Hi, this is Paulie from the Palm Restaurant in Atlantic City, New Jersey, wishing everybody a happy and a healthy holiday season. If you're going to parties this holiday season and you find yourself drinking, please do yourself, your family, and maybe your next door neighbor a favor. Don't drink and drive. Call a cab. Call somebody, call a family member, call anybody that could take you home. Most importantly, don't reach for your keys. Reach for the phone. Happy holidays from the Palm Restaurant in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Hey, 53 minutes past the hour. If you want to jump in, we have a mini open forum segment right now, 609-407-1450. All next hour, completely wide open forum. Anything that you would like to talk about. I was reading a website earlier this morning. Big headline: Year of Strife leaves world on edge. And what I totally believe that is, the vacuum created by having the worst president. Is that idiot that called last hour? Is he still around? The worst president in American history. Unbelievable. And there was a piece that I read a few hours ago. It was called The Final Campaign, The Globalist Grand Tour. That's the belief that Obama is going to travel the world, trash America. It's going to be Obama's 2016 world tour, because he's despised here at home. So he thinks he can travel the world, seal his foreign policy legacy. Who are they kidding? Liberals are putting this stuff out. This guy is going to have the worst record ever documented. There is no rehabilitating this just because you get on Air Force One and create the largest carbon footprint in the world, which is ironic to listen to this man want to put coal factories and all kinds of honest, hardworking people out of business when he's got the worst carbon footprint on the planet. There's no rehabilitating by just traveling to wherever, Asia, wherever, Latin America, you name it. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Happy New Year, Harry.
Happy New Year to you, Eric. How you doing?
Good. Sorry to burst your bubble, but my prediction is the Eagles are going to be drinking tea. In
the afternoon, they'll be drinking tea
with their pinkies in the air. And I'll give you one even worse. Sorry to burst your bubble, Ken. I predict the loss in England.
I got to tell you. Oh, that is. And let me tell you something. This call is delightful, even though it's painful, because that is so funny. The way they'll be drinking tea with the pinky out. The only saving grace here is, as bad as the Eagles have been, the Giants have looked even worse, Eric. This is a team, actually, the Eagles could beat, I think.
Beckham might destroy them this week. Who knows? Yeah. And I'm not a Giant fan, so don't get me wrong.
Oh, no. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Very disappointing, all the hype every year. I just, the Eagles. And I'd be like, yeah, okay.
But you don't really expect like a 6-10 season or something like that. It's just terrible.
No, I thought they'd do pretty good, but I always think every year they'll do pretty good. So anymore, I don't get disappointed.
Well, if they weren't playing the Giants, I would almost pick them. They're just out of it. And they already, I think, some of them quit even before they were out of it, and it would be a loss. But the Giants have looked so bad. I think the Eagles actually are going to win. They'll finish 7-9. They'll avoid England. I'm willing to bet a pizza on it. If you want to bet a Capri Pizza, Eric, I'm willing to do it. It's up to you.
You got it.
All right, yes.
Pizza.
There you go.
I will deliver it to your office.
Capri Pizza, right next door.
You got it. Regular?
Yes.
You got it, bro.
All right, I'll come through too. Thanks, Eric. See you, pal.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We can get one more call, and then those that are holding, if you just stay with me for the few minutes at the top of the hour break that we take, we're taking your phone calls right till 10:06 this morning, so don't go away if we don't get to you this hour. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry, and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. You're missing, you and your callers are missing Hillary's greatest accomplishment.
Please, do tell.
She was born female.
There you go.
And of course, she had nothing to do with that, and that's a typical Democrat, taking credit for something they had nothing to do with.
That is, I have to tell you, because I love women, that is a phenomenal accomplishment. You are absolutely correct, and she should be given great credit for being a woman.
And that's what she's running on. I'm a woman.
I am a woman. Vote for me. We need a woman president. That's right. Turn down the testosterone. We need a woman. But here's the crazy thing, though. Go ask a Hillary sycophant. The people that love her the most, name one accomplishment. They can't.
I know. I like the guy I had on early when you asked him the name of accomplishment and there was silence.
Yeah,
silence.
The phone. Then he hung up. Exactly.
That's why I figured being a female must be it. That's it.
That's a great accomplishment. But you're right. Just like she wasn't named after Sir Edmund Hillary, because he wasn't famous when she was born, but she said that's who she was named after. She lies about everything. I said to the guy, is she honest or dishonest? He didn't hesitate, said honest.
Well, you mentioned earlier, I think maybe it was last week, but just before you, when the Red Eye guys were on, that, even if she was a murderer, the guy would still vote for her.
Correct. He would have too. He would have absolutely.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. And that's what we're up against, so good luck to all of us.
Well, yeah, because that's the difference, though. Our side, if someone's unacceptable, if they're dishonest, if they were to do something horrible, we would not support them. These people don't quit.
No.
I don't know whether to respect that or pity that. I don't know which. It's just terrible.
Well, we should pity it, but, when they don't do anything good and they do something evil, they get promoted.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Anyhow, well, listen, have a great New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Have a great day. Take care. More of your phone calls right after the break, 609-407-1450. Anything that you want to talk about, and obviously, with the year that almost was, there is no shortage of important topics to talk about. Trump, Christie, Hillary, casino gaming, and believe me when I tell you, the ghouls they're working triple overtime. They just went back underground for right now. Trust me when I tell you, they are coming back with all their might on that issue. So much to talk about next.
WPGG Atlantic City, WSJO HD2 Egg Harbor City. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. He wasn't arrested until video of a police shooting was released to widespread protests. This morning, a Chicago police officer, Jason Van Dyke, goes to court in the death of black teenager Laquan McDonald.
Van Dyke will be arraigned on 6 counts of first-degree murder in last year's shooting. He's expected to enter a plea at the arraignment. McDonald was armed with a knife but was walking away from cops when he was shot.
Fox's Gary Baumgarten. A police shooting last night in Suffolk, Virginia, has killed a suspect who was reportedly armed with a gun chasing people.